Hello and welcome back. Now tonight we doubled the number of lines coming into the studio because last time some people simply couldn't get through. Still, all 40 lines have been jammed through part of the evening. Thank you for your calls. We've had 750 so far here to the studio. That's been matched by an equal number direct to police stations, so about 1,500 altogether. And there have already been results. Sue.
Well, first the murder of 9-year-old Christopher Laverack from Hull. Earlier this evening we showed you how back in March, after Christopher had gone missing, the police mounted an enormous 2-day search of the area from which he'd disappeared. But Christopher had been abducted and his body was discovered in a small canal 10 miles away. Well, Detective Chief Inspector Peter Baker, have you had any calls about that particular carpet bag?
Yes, we've had calls about the carpet bag. We've had just over 80 calls in total, some about the carpet bag, but about many other aspects as well of the inquiry.
What about that very vital clue, the television set?
Well, we've had calls from people that have found television sets, including some people who have found ITT television sets, and obviously we're pursuing those up as soon as we can.
And any identifications of the car that night?
Yes, several calls from people who have given us information in relation to the car, several people who think they could recognise the car, and we're very, very hopeful of the response that we've had.
All right, Mr Baker, I'll let you get back to the phones. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
OK, now let's see what we've discovered so far as a result of our incident desk. David Hatcher and Helen Phelps appealed for help on several crimes. What's been the response? Let's start with Yanola Yanni. That was the Greek girl who was killed in North London.
That's right, yes. And remember, this was over 2 years ago, Nick. The officer in the case has been very, very pleased with the result. We've had over 25 calls on that, 2 years old. A number of positive lines to follow up, people that have been suggested. In fact, one of them by an ex-police officer who thinks the video fit could well be our man. And remember, the video fit is the new device that's bringing our photo fit to life, adding colour. We've got a taxi driver who says he gave a lift to the man on the day of the murder.
And remembers that from 2 years on?
Yes, well, again, the video fit seems to have jogged his memory. Amazing what a few seconds of TV can do, isn't it?
Helen, the National and Provincial Building Society raid by gunmen, that was much more recently, in January this year. What's been the response on that?
Not too good, I'm afraid. There have only been 6 calls, but here I must add that the calls have been of good quality. In fact, one call has stated quite categorically that he knows who one of the raiders is.
Have we any reason to believe that that information is good information?
Yes, we have, and it is being treated seriously.
Right, and the Beryl Culverwood murder, this was the woman who was killed in Bath 6 years ago. What have we discovered on that?
Very good. People's memories are excellent. The Swallow Man has generated, 95 calls.
Now, this is the chap who had a tattoo of a swallow on his cheek. I think it was that side, we're not sure.
Yes, and it appears to be quite a popular tattoo as the calls are coming in. They've come in from all over the UK, and here I would like to add that the detective inspector in charge of the case has asked us to stress the Bath connection of 6 years ago.
Right, so what we're looking for is not only someone who had that tattoo, but someone who might have been, or had reason to be in Bath
exactly.
6 years ago. OK, yes. I gather some calls are being followed up tonight on that one.
Yes, they are.
The most recent crime we covered was the rape in the New Forest. Happened last week. What have we heard?
That's right, the 58-year-old German tourist. Well, one man saw the van that we've put up in a different area of the forest on the same day as the rape at 10:30 in the morning. So, again, if you know of a van like that, the man was sleeping in it, need not have come from the area. In fact, probably didn't, if that's the case. So if you know of a van in that area, we've already got positive locations of those vans to follow up, but the more the merrier. We've got to get to the right one.
And have we had anybody who thinks they've seen this particular man? We had a description of the man.
Yes, we have. We've got another number of leads there. The medallion man, remember, multi-medallion man, 3 silver chains around his neck. Very distinctive. If you know of somebody who fits that description, still not too late to call your local police station. Over 45 calls already on this particular one, just here alone.
David, Helen, thank you very much. Sue?
Well, there have been a lot of calls from people who think they recognise the video fit of the Manchester bogeyman, the bogus official. In particular, police have had information about a man in Manchester who works in a job which takes him into people's houses in the course of his business. So police are following that one up tonight.
Next, the Sussex drugs killing. 25-year-old Gary Collins died 2 weeks before Christmas. He was a Hastings man who dabbled in drugs dealing. He was known as the man with the dog. Police asked, especially if you live in London, did you ever see him? Or even, did you deal with him? Superintendent Bill Clements, the big problem here, of course, is that you're appealing to people who might use drugs themselves, who are reluctant to ring in. Have any, in fact, called?
Yes, we've had over 50 calls here and in the incident room, some of which are from people who've done deals with Gary Collins. We've had calls from West and North London, Hampshire, Suffolk and Essex, all over the place.
Any good quality calls,
Yes.
that excite you?
Yes, we've had some good information and information that is being acted on at this moment.
Are you able to tell me anything about that sort of information?
Yes, we've had several suggestions as to the identity of the woman with the Toledo, and we've also had, as I say, several people have said they've had dealings with Gary Collins.
Anyone in particular you're still trying to reach?
We want Anna. Anna, please phone us either here or at Hastings Police Station at the incident room.
That's all you can tell us, just Anna?
Yes, that's all.
Right. Bill Clements, thanks very much indeed. Sue?
Well, certainly we seem to have had about 70 calls, all from Edinburgh to Brighton on the Aladdin's Cave from Thames Valley's Constabulary. We've had one claimant for this magnificent red bracket clock, which does seem to be pretty bona fide. We've had another claimant for the silver drinking pot with a bacchanalian feast going on. And we've had one more call which seems to be pretty certain that they own that wooden clock up the end there. Still no takers on the individual silver pieces there, but they're all very individual items, the paintings, so I'm sure we'll get more calls on that.
Thank you. See, people often ask how many crank calls we get. I can tell you very few. We've had less than a dozen tonight, and thank you for that. Our lines are staying open until midnight. If you can't get through here, in a moment we'll give you local numbers you can call. If you've got CFAX, incidentally, the numbers and the summaries of all the cases will be on page 187. They'll be there till Monday. And don't forget that you can always write to us in absolute confidence, of course. This is the address, Crimewatch UK, BBC TV Centre, London W12 8QT. That's Crimewatch UK, BBC TV Centre, London W12 8QT.
And we'll be back in 6 weeks' time. Thank you very much for calling if you did, and from us, good night.
Bye-bye.